Hey, this is Jeffrey Nothing, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Sunny and Corey here, my co-host, with another brand new edition of Interview Under Fire. We got another special episode today, and joining us is Jeffrey Nothing. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our podcast today on IUF. This is an important yet exciting time of the year for you with the release of your new single, Paint the Whole Dream Evil, out now on all streaming platforms. You know, first off, congratulations on all the well-deserved acknowledgement it's been getting so far. But before we get to that, we're going to ask a very important question for you, Jeff.
Okay.
And it's a very simple one, but I think it's a very important one considering where we are at our lives at this point. How are you, man? How have things been for you out in Ohio, and how's life out there since our lives has pretty much been changed back in March?
Yeah, it gets a little claustrophobic at times being home so much, but I'm pretty good. I mean, my family's going through a lot of medical situations, so that's kind of crazy. I just found out about a bunch of it today, but I'm pretty well. It's just a lot to take in.
You know, being away from the stage a lot as of late, a lot of the artists nowadays, and, making the best of this crazy situation is easier said than done. But how are you keeping up your vocals these days? Is that affecting your musicianship? Has anything changed for you routine-wise lately, if at all?
I always had other people driving when I track things, and about 2 months ago finally got my home studio going, so that's definitely different. I got some monitors and a good mic,
awesome.
And M-box, so I can finally track myself pretty well. I'm in the crawling stage right now. I can't wait till I'm running a little bit. But
I'm assuming, do you live in a place where you can? I'm assuming you live in a place where you can just like belt out and sing as much as you want, right?
Oh yeah, my neighbor to the right, and we kind of share driveways. The driveways are right up against each other. He's a black and death metal fan. The people on the other side are at least a little ways away, so we've actually rehearsed here. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome. Throughout your career, you've been at this for nearly 40 years, and whether it's with Mushroomhead or White Heat or Purgatory, Hatrix, Foose, how was the touring life for you personally, Jeff? Because you've done some extensive touring throughout your career, whether it's at Heaven and Hell Metal Fest, Ozfest, Mayhem Festival. Me and Corey were able to go there a couple of times. Sounds of the Underground, another example.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from the touring life? Because now you're kind of just taking like an unseen step back. And does it make you have a growing appreciation of the touring life? Because we're talking culture, the fans, even the food. There's just so many things to pick apart about what makes touring amazing. What was your favorite part about it?
I think it's finally getting all the places I dreamed about being on stage in. I mean, I used to go, wow, I hope I one day make it to New York. I hope I one day make it to LA. And I've been to Moscow, Australia twice, Europe many times. It's just amazing to see all the other cultures still love the music and watch everybody singing all the words back and everything. It's just amazing, really. You're like a kid starting out and you dream these things. And then I can remember thinking some venues were so big, and then you end up getting on the stage and you're like, wow, this place is tiny. But it's just amazing to get to do it and have fans really love it. And that's really why I wanted to ever make music.
Do you have like a standout show that you've done, or like a favorite place to perform at?
Really, there's like too many to list as far as favorite places, but I can remember back in the day in Purgatory, we were playing with Saxon, and it was supposed to be Paul Di'Anno's Battle Zone, and for whatever reason, he ended up having to cancel, and we were right before Saxon. And I remember being on the ramp getting ready to go on stage, and the ramp was shaking so much from just how intense the crowd was building up to us being on stage. And then another one that was huge is we got to play Ozfest Europe, and our first show was Castle Donington. I always thought that place is like the epitome of the European metal venue. And to do our first show there, and just how crazy the side stage was, just for that whole run, it was us and American Head Charge and some other really cool bands. But it was so intense to finally get there and be a part of something so big.
How long ago was that show? Now that I'm thinking about those bands that you just listed.
It was crazy. It was 2002, and Universal split Ozfest between us and Flaw. And for whatever reason, we got the second half, and that included Europe and all that. And I believe they might have ended up over there too, but it was just really cool to be on a festival that big, and like Kelly and some of her friends, and we saw Jack a few times, but not really got to see Ozzy or Sharon, but it was still great to be a part.
Right.
Yeah, and just little things like that, like you start to recollect, like, oh man, I didn't even notice that, before this. Like you start to notice little things right now that we're home.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you didn't appreciate before. Now, very popular topic on our show, which has been for the last 8 months, which I can't believe it's been 8 months already. I can't believe I'm even saying that. But a lot of the artists that we brought on the show, Corey and me, and you've seen this, Jeff, for the last 8 months, and everyone's been doing it, live streaming. A lot of the artists, what they do on stage, are taking it to the screen like we're doing right now. I believe Code Orange was one of the first bands to do it. I don't know if you knew about that empty concert they did in that venue in Pittsburgh, and then they streamed it for the fans like 2 days right after the pandemic was announced. And then bands like Lamb of God and then Insomnium, and I think next week August Burns Red is doing one, live streaming. And it's just become the norm as far as that is concerned. But I wanted to ask, considering all the experiences that you've taken in throughout your career, Jeff, all the musicians you met, all the venues, all the different shows that you've performed in, all that just experience, again, I wanted to ask you as an artist, do you think the quarantine-induced live streaming surge that we're seeing right now from all these artists, is that going to affect the touring musician business going forward in your eyes? Do you still see bands doing this even after all this is over?
I believe that when it passes, I'm not sure what the new normal will be, but I think it'll try to be as much as it can be the old way, because there's just no comparing to that artist fan middle there where it meets the front of the pit. It's just, there's nothing like that. And it's great that these artists do these podcasts or the streaming version, but I feel like people will be chomping at the bit to get back to what it was in whatever way that is now. Because there's really no substitute of watching everybody singing the words and just the excitement in all their eyes and everything. It's what makes it magic.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, live experience is what makes who you are. I mean, throughout your career, it's a whole different energy you exhibit on stage as opposed to, it's great. We love that we get the chance to talk to you right now. And of course, it'd be a different thing if it was in person. You get what I'm saying, right? But 2 months ago, I don't know if Corey had this experience or Jeff as well, but I went to Metallica 2 months ago. I don't know if you knew about this. They did this live streaming show, not live streaming. It was pre-recorded, and then they presented it for the fans for one weekend in the States. The whole nation, and Dallas sold out. Just like that. Luckily, a friend of mine was able to have a spare ticket, and I went. I didn't know what to expect, but it just made me miss the live experience even more, I guess. And what's the most popular phrase we hear at a metal show? Oh, let me see your horns. And you see just a sea of horns of just fans like throughout the entire crowd. Instead, what do we get? We got 3 days grace.
Honking horns.
Yeah. It was so crazy. If you roll down your window, like just in the middle of the night, you just hear cars just honking like in this, and it was at a very open part in Dallas. It was like a deserted area, the drive-in theater, like at the backdrop, and you just hear that, like, and it was crazy. And I've never experienced it like it. Yeah.
It's cool that there's ways to still get some of the experience at least. So
yeah, and
I'm happy for that.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, nothing takes away from live streaming experience. Of course, and me and Corey had the liberty to mosh in our own rooms if we wanted to. There's always that. But
in my experience, just being a fan of music, I don't think I would hate to just lose out on concerts in general, because my thing is, if I want to listen to a band, then I have their album, right? But going to the concerts for me is more visually, which in my opinion, Jeff, you have one of the most creative minds in the industry, and for me, top, you've made a special place in my mind for those visuals going to the concerts, and that I would hate to miss out on that.
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate
Corey, you're an artist too, so a lot of what you do exhibits, from Jeff's influence. So
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
awesome. Appreciate
and
that.
Yeah.
I know Jeff. We talked about everything from head to toe. I promise we'll talk about the new singles right now because it's
Yeah.
really good stuff. Paint the Whole Dream Evil and Never Enough. Everyone who's listening, it's out now. 2020. 2020. We need more of Jeffrey Nothing. I want to ask. When did production for these songs? When did they start for you? Was it pre-COVID? I mean, did you already know anything about the virus or anything like that? Because early in the year we had some whispers going on, even from like late 2019. But when did production start for you for these two songs specifically?
I'd say probably around March, April on Never Enough, and then like maybe May on Painting the Whole Dream Evil. But yeah, there wasn't really any connection there, and it's interesting because even my Doom Candy songs seem to really fit the state of the world as far as Downfall of Your Army
Definitely.
and Crackfire for that matter. But yeah, it's just a lot of ways coincidental. It's just I try to write with the state of the world in mind a lot of times.
How much did things change from when you first started composing on these tracks to where you ended up finishing it? Did a lot change in between? Did nothing change in between? Was there already a specific sound you knew you wanted with these songs?
It really doesn't change all that much. I mean, Tommy will change the arrangement a little bit or move one of my parts into another part that I didn't expect it to be in, but really those just really happen pretty much how they were planned. And I like this state of tracking and writing because the cups are kind of off and I'm doing a lot more of what I would have wanted to do in the songs. So that's cool.
Yeah, it does give you that freedom. And as far as producing and mixing, were you involved in that specifically yourself, or did you bring other personnel in to help you out with that?
No, it's just Tommy Church and I mostly. I mean, he's just incredible in every aspect of music as far as I'm concerned. And he just, I've never had this kind of canvas to paint on. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here now.
Yeah, speaking of Tommy, was there a sense of I'm assuming there could be a sense of comfortability for you in the studio knowing that he was there, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we back where we were, we had a lot more going on than we ever got to bring to the table. And it's just great because the sky's really the limit, and it's the COVID has them in North Carolina instead of the Cleveland area, but we do as much as we can. He sends me new ideas all the time, and I start writing. I used to just write on my iPad and use my headphones and just hear the voice in my head, but now I get to actually track.
Between writing and then, structuring the songs and the production process, like we talked about, Jeff, what challenges did you personally face this time around, if any, that you may have not faced with your previous music acts throughout your career?
It's just, I don't mind this right now because it's just the state of the music business, I believe. And maybe if things were normal, there'd be more interest going on, but we're really doing this all ourselves right now. And I don't mind it. I think it gives you a lot more freedom to not really have to live up to deadlines as much or putting out more songs than people want you to have out without a label behind it. But this is really the first project that hasn't been signed other than maybe White Heat. But it is a new ball game, and I kind of enjoy it in ways.
Yeah, me and Corey had a chance to check out those two singles like we've been talking about. Is there a theme to this? Because I feel like there was a theme to these two songs. And to what level do you like to have a theme for your records, Jeff? And how important are themes to you? Is that more about helping you write or sound, or is that more for the audience? Because a lot of artists, they don't really care about themes. They just do 10 songs in the studio and that's it. But I felt like with you, there's a specific dilemma you wanted to reach with Paint the Whole Dream Evil and Never Enough.
I think kind of like with the state of the world or the United States, basically, I think a lot of change just happened and it was kind of like stifling a little bit what was going on before that. And in my own life, that was kind of a situation too. And then I just feel in a lot higher place just in my mood and my freedoms and Tommy, I believe, would be in that same state of mind too. Just the sky's the limit where there was a lot of limits in other situations.
Do you see these songs as a snapshot of where you are at a certain time in your life?
Yeah, I guess I would kind of, I mean, I'm definitely in a better place. I've had some struggles just trying to like wonder what this is all about to an extent, but I feel like I'm in a lot better place, like I said, and it should be coming clearer what the point of all of it is.
Yeah, it's easy to look at a song and it could be like a song that you released this year, and you could look back on and say, "Oh, this was the pandemic song." It's easy to say that, but I felt like a lot of the struggles that everyone has gone through, we all have individuals have gone through struggles this year.
Yeah,
it's been hard on everybody, but I feel like a way, we're talking about what we love to do right now, you and me and Corey. What we are passionate about is music, and 2020 did give us a chance to grow. That's the positive I take out of it. If anything, you could, but because there's no pandemic, there's no protocol for a pandemic when it comes to releasing new music,
no.
right? You're just like, okay, so here's the pandemic, here's what we do, here's the rules. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There's nothing like that. Did that ever cross your mind, Jeff? Like, if you ever wanted to delay releasing this music, did that ever? Okay, I don't know how people are going to perceive it. I don't know if this is going to gain any traction, any views, any, something like that. Did that ever cross your mind, or you just wanted to stick to the schedule to releasing the music that you wanted to put out?
Yeah, it's kind of like the contrary of wanting to delay it, because I feel like in the way that there is no shows and there has been probably some records that have been held back, and just wanted to get some music out and give the fans something new to hear, because I mean, there was a time when we were waiting to hopefully shop and see what was out there, but I'm glad we're just at a point where it's just get some songs out. And then lately I heard that Spotify wanted the artists to present a new song every 3 weeks or they may drop them. And that's like a crazy schedule to try and keep up with. And we could probably do it, which is insane to say, but we just have a big catalog that we want to get out there.
Yeah, and you have a big following. What did I say earlier? Yeah, the world could use more Jeffrey Nothing. Yeah. And Corey, you can chime in on this at any moment, because the next topic I want to talk about is I know you're outside the city of Cleveland, but we talked about like where you're at, and I want to talk about the local music scene there, because we've heard bands, like some of the notable bands out there are like Nine Inch Nails, Chimera, and then bands like Affiance and Ringworm. How has that music scene changed through your experience?
It's crazy. I back in the day, I didn't really speak to Mark Hunter a lot, and I've been talking to him a lot lately, and he had a throat issue, and I haven't heard him sing anytime recently, but he really is a great artist, and I believe he's been taking pictures at weddings mostly. And
yeah. We actually, I don't mean to cut you off there, but I was just going to say, add to that, Mark is actually going to be a guest on our show sometime soon. So it'll be great to have him on. But, me and Corey grew up listening to Chimera, so I knew there had to be no way like you and Mark had to,
yeah,
that'd be great to do a good collaboration. Just saying, that's just the fan aspect of me. I'm just going to throw it out there. So do whatever you want with that idea.
I've offered him a spot on a song anytime he's ready. He hasn't got back to me about how the voice is doing, but I definitely want that to happen.
Hey, I have his email. Who knows? Let's see. We'll that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I remember it was the Hatrix days, and Chimera was just starting out, and I saw a couple shows, and I was like, "You guys are amazing, man!" And we talked about doing shows together back then, but then that was around the time that we became more Mushroomhead, and
yeah,
that's cool.
That just kind of went out the window for whatever reason. But I'm happy that we're friends now and talking.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about the local scene per se, but I am interested in knowing, what are some of your bigger influences in music?
It's really strange because I started goofing around singing with a hairbrush for a microphone when I was about 6.
Yeah,
and the crazy thing is I was singing the Osmonds and the Jacksons.
Oh, okay.
Hating myself just a little bit. But anyway, I found Grand Funk Survival on 8-track at the side road when I was 15, and that record had a lot of really cool covers on it, and like Priest and Maiden, and just all the heavy stuff back in the day. And then I just started widening my horizon of influences. I love Bjork.
Oh, there we go.
just
Now
felt-
we're talking.
I really try to sing a little bit of everybody. There was a time when John Bush stuck out in my voice, and Ian Astbury from the Cult. And
Yeah, we had John Bush on our show from Armored Saint. You know, he was also an Hatrix, but John Bush was on our show back in, what is it? I want to say September.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, great guy, great artist.
yeah,
What
but
a humble guy.
I'm very humble.
I just sang everything that was around rock radio growing up. Everything I heard, I'd try to sing it. And I feel like the best way to be something different is to really not have a specific influence. I think there's people that emulate something, and by the time their project is happening, the other artist is still there or whatever. Like I feel like the main one that really epitomized sounding like a lot of other people was Scott Weiland, I believe his name.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Nirvana sounded like a few bands, but it was really interesting. But I just try to sing whatever, sound like whatever, sing what I'm feeling.
Yeah. You know, going to the visuals. Okay. Are there, do you have like hobbies, or did you dip into art, before music? Or, I mean, because, I'm trying to think, I can think of bands like Kiss, and let's see, around that time there was King Diamond. They did the face paints and stuff. You guys came with a whole new aspect in visuals, with the mask, and then later on you introduced like the water drums and stuff like that. Was there any type of hobbies or anything like that before?
I mean, we were all always about horror, and I would put on shows in my neighborhood, and all the other kids would come and watch us, and we just sing with whatever album and act like we were playing it. I took a million guitar and bass lessons. It just never really clicked for me, but I was always happy to sing a little bit. And I love drawing logos. I took every art class that was available in high school, and even took commercial art for 1 year. But I think a lot of people, the art will cross genres, and it was drawing as far as I can remember.
You couldn't have made that transition easier for me, Jeff. So I know we've talked plenty on your music career, but I would also like to jump into some other amazing work in your involvement in the film industry. And you've done work in films such as, The Dead Matter, 13th Sign, Attacked on Set, Dead Quiet, and your upcoming film Dwellers, where you have collaborated with producer Dave Ellefson, who my listeners don't know. He's Megadeth guitarist, who is also part of Ellefson Films. Mm-hmm. Where and when did the passion for film come into play for you?
What was weird about The Dead Matter, I felt like I was, by the time they cut a lot of it, I felt like I was a poster. Like, you see me in the background, but I'm not really. I think I filmed about a minute anyway. There wasn't a lot, but 13 Sign was just a producer in Michigan, invited Waylon and I to kind of be extras, and then they decided to build a movie around us. And the only issue with that was they had a director lie about what he'd done, and he wanted to make it like some other story instead of a horror movie. So he got let go partway through production, and then they brought in somebody else, but it was just very disjointed. And Dead Quiet, I really had a great time doing. I went and shot my parts in 3 days before I left for tour, and then they built the rest around it, and that was a lot more fun. The weird thing for me is I ended up making these movies in Michigan when it's about 5 degrees. And 13 Sign, I had like fresh scab and stage blood up to my, like past my elbows, and I'd sit there and feel like a human popsicle. Just I'd have a blow dryer on me and a fleece blanket a little bit, waiting to film. It just ended up cold as I've ever been in this, until, of course, the Save Us video. That was in the Cleveland Opera Company warehouse, and they didn't have any heat there.
I love that video,
And
by the way.
they sprayed me with water before they started doing the makeup. This was probably 18 degrees. I'm just sitting there with a blow dryer gun trying to stay warm. But I just my mom took me to some plays when I was a kid, and I just always appreciated acting, even if I'm not gonna get an Academy Award anytime soon. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, the Dead Quiet or the Dead Quiet, is that still in post production, or is there a release date for it? Or
Yeah, the release date came and went. It's it had some like they did some audio, but nobody was ever really happy with it, and we're still trying to get the audio made to match the film. And then the producer decided she didn't want to be involved anymore, so the American branch of the production company bought it from her or something. I'm really hoping it'll see the light of day here soon. I thought it was fun. And Kip Weeks, who was in The Strangers, he was the main bad guy. He's like the sort of hero-ish character in it, so it was nice to be the creature other than the normal people in the movie.
Right.
Yeah. How much of Dwellers can you tell us, and how much, have you met Dave in person, like getting to work with him?
Yeah, I actually met him after I had done the shoot, and he was in Cleveland, and I went up and did some backups on Peace Cells in front of not a gigantic crowd, but it was fun to be.
That's awesome.
But it was just really fun. I was playing a homeless guy that escaped where the issues started happening, and I purposely let my hair grow in because it doesn't really cooperate on the normal scale, and I also let my facial hair grow in a lot, and then I wore like bifocals with a line through them, just trying to look as crazy as possible. It was really windy that day, so I put a bunch of rocks on top of the script, and I was just looking down reading it, and Drew, the director producer guy, he was just really into it because it was like I was playing with the rocks. You didn't know I was trying to hold my script down, but it was just really fun, and I was going from like talking normal to kind of laughing to kind of crying. It was just a real fun thing to do in a way. It was just me, other than my funky hair I had going in, but it was fun to just goof around and enjoy the shoot. And my wife did a scene, even though she was a little not thrilled to be doing it, but I think she had fun too. And then Tommy even shot a couple lines. So
yeah. What's the most, it got me thinking, what's the most rewarding part for someone like you who has been involved with so many other different talented individuals throughout your career? Did it play a part in helping you grow as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet a lot of people I looked up to as singers, like David Wayne. I met one of their last tours with Metal Church, and he actually was at my house for a while. And then just like Peter Steele came out on stage and said, shook all of our hands, and then said that night on stage that we were the best band that ever opened for him. Just like things I'd never thought of happening in my life started happening. So that, I mean, my favorite part of doing music though is I'll get letters from people that tell me, thank you, your music kept my brother alive longer than he would have been. Or I'll get letters from people that served in wars, and they listen to our music to pass the time and not go a little crazy over there. And just things like that really mean a lot to me.
Yeah. Hey, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the music you put out. So there's another example. So
appreciate it.
Have your aspirations as a person or even a band, have they changed or evolved since when you first started performing in the industry? Do you see things differently now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see where most bands would, like myself included, would think everybody you're doing this is always going to be your friend. And I used to hear how certain bands hate each other. They just stay together for the money or the career or whatever. But I never thought it would come to me so personally. It's just, I always want to make music, and I hope I can always see that crowd singing every word. And it just means a lot because I used to wonder how other towns would think of my songs. And it's just going to a place is really cool, but there got to be a point where I just stayed in my bunk kind of, and other than going on stage.
Here's a good one. If you weren't a musician, what would you be doing right now?
I used to think in a way it's got a little bit of morbid side. I used to think without the release, I might end up a serial killer, and that's not a good thing. definitely a therapy in its own right, being able to sing. And even back in the day, I never was good, but I'd drum along with records just to get that aggression out. But I don't really know. I mean, I've had a few people in my time told me I would have made a good social worker. I don't know.
You know, it's funny. I hear that answer a lot. The social worker.
Yeah.
That's a very popular, and there's no right or wrong answer to this question. I always like asking this question because listen to everything you just talked about, Jeff. You know, the last 30 minutes, it's just so many things have encompassed throughout your career that taught you to grow into the person you are today. And I love asking that question because a lot of artists could be like, man, I can't think of anything as I would be if it wasn't. I have to be involved in music. There's no other way I could do this, you know. And there was another artist we interviewed in Australia earlier this week, and she was like, I want to be a trucker. And I was like, oh, okay, that's new. You know, it's always interesting to dig in the mind of a musician. So
Paolo from Flesh God, he said he'd be a professional soccer player.
Oh yeah, that was a great one too. But yeah, that was the first time we got a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We run, so we can't get that crazy, but I'd like to open up a bearded dragon rescue because all these people get them as little babies and they're the cutest thing in the world, and then get a little older, and it's like I'm not as excited about my bearded dragon anymore.
Well, you're ordained too, right?
Yeah, I did that in 2009. I used to just do it by word of mouth, and it's really cool. I did a wedding on Halloween, and they used One More Day as their bridal dance, and then they asked if I would go up there with Stacy and dance with them and sing it.
That's pretty cool.
I did it, and toward the end, I started crying actually.
Yeah.
And I got through it all right. It was just like one line was a little bit not perfectly sang, but
well, that's just for me, that would be amazing. I mean, that would be, because obviously, getting married is a huge part of two people's lives, right? Yeah. And for them to want you to be a part of that special event, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's really cool. When I first did it, I don't have it copywritten or anything, but I call it what I do till death do us part. And my first two weddings, I did them in a cemetery. And my reasoning was that if you start where you're supposed to end, maybe you'll have a better marriage.
Right. Yeah. That's unique.
That's a good way to look at it. So Jeff, we're reaching unfortunately the last part of the interview, but this is one of our favorite parts. We do this for all our guests. What we're going to do is we're going to put you on the hot seat. All right, Corey, that's for you. You want to go and take the helm here?
Yeah. Okay. So Jeff, this portion is, we're going to test your lyrics and how well you know them. Okay. And you've been in this industry for quite some time. So we don't have a lot to cover, but we have a lot of years to cover. And it's going to spread throughout your whole
discography. Your whole catalog. Yeah.
Yep. Your whole catalog from most of your bands. Okay. All right. You up for this?
Yeah.
All right.
He's not nervous at all.
It doesn't sound like it. All right. And I'm not going to tell you what band it's with.
What Corey's going to do, he's going to read the lyric of the song.
Okay.
He won't tell you anything, just the lyric of the song, and you just have to guess the song.
Okay. So I'm going to try to start easy and kind of work my way on up to a little bit harder. All right. So first one. Let's hit the ceiling and commence to killing all the injustice and organized prejudice.
Never enough.
Never enough.
There we go.
Never enough. Yeah, that was earlier this year. So, all right, let's go back a little bit further.
Okay.
Okay. And it's all I've ever wanted, to believe that peace could grow inside of you. In spite of me, humanity, I hope you're out there somewhere.
That's Save Us by Mushroomhead, and that's the first part of that song that happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that we were just talking about that. No, one more day is what you said. Okay. All right. Cool.
Moving on.
You're doing well. All right. So here we go. Can I believe this much now? Keeping deceased in touch, our wealth, our world satisfied. How do you pacify? Your lies, they feed you life.
Psychedelia, Jeffrey Nothing, first record.
2011, yeah.
He gets the record too. That's pretty good.
That is good. All right.
This one's more recent. This one's a little bit.
Yeah,
more
this one's a little bit more recent. Yeah. So why did we come here, breed in the first place, if not to become much more than just a face? From this body, we're hanging high, and yet we're becoming perfectly numb to life, alone in this casket.
That's Dead Space Dead Inside, Jeffrey Nothing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so far so good. All right, let's. Oh, I have that written down twice. Okay. All right, here we go. This one's one of my favorites. Beat like a dog, pissing all over, shit on a rug. Lie down and roll over, shove my nose in the floor, make me think about what I've done.
What's interesting about that one is I sang it, but I didn't write it.
Oh, you didn't write this one? Okay.
That's Simpleton Mushroomhead.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Who wrote that one?
Hey man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that song, by the way.
That's a good one.
All right.
Man, he got all of them right.
I know,
Two
so
more
far,
left.
and
he might just get all of them. This is rare for us, by the way.
That was so long ago.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, it hasn't been sang live in a long time.
Yeah, not for a while. That was like the early shows only, really.
Yeah. All right. This one, okay. So I'm gonna read. Okay. Strive for perfection and strike with precision. Soon it blows up in your face and the smoke blurs your vision. But now you're fading fast. Maybe your time has passed, bound and gagged.
Never Let It Go, Mushroom.
Never let it go.
Yeah.
That's a J part too. I only wrote a little bit of that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Super Buick.
Yeah.
All right, last
All
one.
right, last one. Let's see if you can get this one.
He'll get this one at this point.
I think so. Yeah. All right. Screaming iron drives bone crushing steel, pumping pistons headed for the kill. Edge of laughter, black insanity, bring death savior crashing down on me.
That was the first song in that band that I actually came up with the music for it too. Title of the track, Purgatory.
Gosh,
That's
dang.
so crazy.
That's so crazy.
So
You
crazy.
got that. Man, we've had artists who could be they were like, oh yeah, I'll get every song, and they get every one of them wrong, and then artists would be like, oh, I'm not gonna get any of them right, and they get all of them right. It's so interesting. But you got it like on the tee. You didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
You're like, this is Save Us. Yeah, this is Psychedelia. Yes, this is Dead Space.
Yeah.
Like you got it all the one
That's-
after another.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good because you have I had a hard time picking the songs because there was so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
that's
just
really good.
It also shows like the evolution of, the content and the lyrics of what you wrote, and or even what your colleagues have written.
Yeah.
It shows the evolution of your lyrics, how you've grown as a writer, as a composer. I just think that's amazing. We could go through all the songs, but it'll take us forever.
Yeah.
But
I got two questions. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
One out of all the songs that you've written, what's your favorite?
I just always keep going back to it because it was about what was going on in life and home. Becoming Cold 216.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. Also, I want to touch base a little bit more on some future work. We saw the two
singles.
We saw the two singles, and then one we actually saw an actual music video that showed, the band members and whatnot.
Yeah.
From here on out, are we going to be? Can we expect something in the near future?
We're working on we've actually played the song live a few times. It's called the Collector, and that's Noah's playing live drums on it here pretty soon. It was electronic, and then we have access to a Sony Red in Michigan, and a guy up there does a lot of aerial stuff with drones. So
Nice.
A lot of shoot will be from home, like we did with Paint the Whole Dream Evil, but we're working on that one right now.
Okay. Any idea of a release date for like an album or something?
I feel like I want to continue the path we're using right now and do songs online, and then eventually I want to get in the studio and just make, I don't know about it, completely new versions, but I want to take them somewhere else on the record.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Well, we pretty much covered everything from head to toe. Corey, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm asking that question because I didn't ask you how you were doing at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm good. You know, it's I was trying not to be starstruck, I guess, if you will. I'm a huge fan of Jeff's. Huge fan for a long time. Since 2002, actually, I saw. I was young. I'm a youngster. So 2002, I can't even tell you. I was like 13 or something. And I saw a magazine. I can't even remember what the magazine was, but it was Ozfest. It was a Ozfest magazine, and I saw a picture of you in there, or maybe I think it was a picture of you. So I was like, "What is this?"
Two other people, and it was a Metal Hammer.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
The fact that he knows that,
what
like,
is
it's
this?
just like this is crazy.
The cover out of the rest of the bands on the inside.
Yeah, I thought my memory was amazing. Your memory's like it surpasses that.
So thanks to that, magazine, I was, drawn in. I grew up in the country and stuff, so my music, it didn't really expand until a little bit later. So you were one of the
more Tease and David Draymond than I, and it was the Freaks issue.
Oh yeah,
wow,
that's crazy. So it was an honor having you on.
Yeah. Again, this ties back to, just it means that much more to have you on, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the music you put out through your career. But having said that, Jeff, do you have any like last words, any shout outs, any plugs you want your listeners to know about Jeffrey Nothing moving forward? Or do we pretty much cover everything?
Hi to my daughter Mia, my wife Stacy, my mother Aunt Jeanette, and I'm just excited to keep going here and make more music. And it's really odd because I really want to make the show a spectacle instead of just there's a band on stage at this club. I want to make it a real show, and this time, if nothing else, has given us the time to polish it a little more, and hopefully everything goes back to semi-normal and everybody can interact and make the shows what they are by having fans there.
Yeah, and everything that you're doing right now, it just adds fuel to the fire for what you're going to put out to the fans whenever all this is over. So we can't wait to do this. Hopefully we get to do this again in person when you guys come to Dallas. Gas Monkey's open again, and we can do the in-person interviews like we used to. It'd be great to get to see you in person and performance and yeah. And everyone who's listening, this is Jeffrey Nothing, and don't forget to check out his 2 singles, Paint the Whole Dream Evil and Never Enough, out now on all streaming platforms. Jeff, thank you so much. Corey, thanks for joining me as my co-host today. Jeff, you be safe out there in Cleveland, or close to Cleveland, wherever you are in Ohio. And we'll do this again next time, man.
It's been a great time. Thanks for the opportunity. You guys are awesome. Let's paint the whole dream evil, then you cross the line. And inside you beat a heart I'll never know. Anybody can remember how the will to care. This never land. Make everybody.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. And also, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can find us at Interview Under Fire at Facebook or at Instagram. Or you can write us directly at schwag@interviewunderfire.com. That's SCHWAG at interviewunderfire.com. Or Rezablade, that's REZABLADE at interviewunderfire.